everyone doing? We have the February anime podcast. We're doing That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. How's everyone doing? Let's all introduce ourselves. I am Neo Tokyo Tempo.
All right, Josh.
I am Getsuryu.
Nate Striker Red. Don't wear it out.
Lawrence.
I'm Lawrence, and I am sick. Nice to meet
Lawrence is moments away from death right now. He may even die on the podcast, and this will turn into a wake.
My girlfriend's also dying, so that you guys can die together.
Remember me by watching Macross.
No, Robotech.
Oh no! You're going to breathe. You're going to breathe life into him doing that.
I will blast Robotech during your funeral. Okay.
So oh, and one last person.
I will haunt you. You play Robotech.
What up? This is 676.
Lawrence, come on. Yo, Mike, introduce yourself again.
What up? This is 676 here.
All right.
And then you got me, Red Baron. RJ.
Red Baron, the great and powerful RJ.
What? No. I'm just a Char.
All right.
I'm just a Char wannabe. All right.
So
let's get started.
All right, we just watched That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Now, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, which is quite a long name. It's almost like a light novel name. Very interesting. But anyway, it is a show about a man who is a businessman in his 30s who is pretty successful at his job, but not very successful in his social life. And he, in the first episode, he gets stabbed to death by a mugger, just randomly. And then he gets reincarnated in another world as a slime, because it's another isekai. But this time, it's not just any isekai, it's a comedy isekai, and it's not Konosuba. It's not Konosuba. That's the other comedy isekai. This is Slime.
Wait.
And
so check that out someday.
Overlord wasn't a comedy isekai?
I haven't seen that one.
A little bit. It's a little bit of a comedy isekai, but a friend of mine did recommend me Konosuba a while ago, but haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's very funny.
I'll check it out as well. So, before we start, what would you say the biggest difference is between Konosuba and That Time I Got Reincarnated?
Konosuba is, I think, it's deliberately not meant to be taken seriously in any respect, whereas Slime is a serious plot with heavy comedic elements. I think that's the biggest tonal difference. Konosuba is also about 4 losers, whereas Slime is more of a power fantasy. Rimuru Tempest, the main character, who is in fact a slime, is he is possibly the most powerful being in the entire world.
I haven't overpowered. Holy shit.
He's a slime with a consciousness and the blessings of a dragon. So he's got magic powers.
Yeah, that was one of the. That's when I actually started to be like, man, this show, yeah, it's pretty good. Is when he starts befriending a tsundere dragon. The guy was like just lonely in the middle of this cave and just acting all coy and shy the whole time. It's not the type of behavior you would expect from a dragon. So it was pretty funny.
He's not trusting. He's antisocial, and he's been locked away for God knows how long. So
yeah. So I guess we'll start out now that the introduction to the show is kind of Oh, actually, I guess I should explain a bit more of the plot, spoiler free as possible. He ends up going to see a goblin village, and most of the show is about him building a nation out of that goblin village. And what's very interesting is that this comes from the same season as Goblin Slayer. So we have two completely opposite views on goblins in the same season.
Yep. In this one, they're kind of dumb and slightly helpless. They're like proto goblins, and they turn to him for help. That's the best part.
Yeah.
They turn to the main character for help.
Yeah, in this show, goblins are good people. In Goblin Slayer, they are not.
They're sure
Yeah, one of them kind of adorable, and the other they're horrible, horrifying monsters.
Who wants?
Oh yeah.
Hey, who wants to bet $5 that Remiru accidentally creates the goblins in the other show because he's getting the wolves and the goblins to befriend each other, and we all know where that leads. Warg Riders of Isengard.
Oh god.
All right. Anyway, I guess we'll start with the surface level critiques. Let's start with the show's visuals. Who wants to start out with that?
I'll start out with that one. I actually kind of like this kind of cheesy. I almost kind of say it's like cheesy in a way, animation style where it's a little over animated in some points, but it's supposed to just be like a fun, relaxing kind of thing. It fits the style very well.
Yeah, I found the very, I guess I don't want to say cartoonish because I guess that'd kind of be redundant, but that sort of style they had, that sort of almost rubbery style, definitely fit with the tone of the show. And there were, now some of the environments are somewhat generic, and then some of them are very interesting. I found that the cave in the beginning, in particular, had very, very vibrant use of color, despite being a cave, and that was quite good. But then there were a lot of times when there was that standard shonen fight scene in like a generic wasteland area. You know what I'm talking about. They're doing this epic battle, but the background's just like brown.
It very much, yeah. It very much just feels kind of like almost like a Korean MMO. Like I think that's kind of the tone they were aiming for. And
hardcore, slightly grim but lazy MMO.
Yeah, like you can tell like the like more like the town centric ones, like the humans and the dwarves that are in the town are a little bit more gritty. Like that's what you would expect from like an MMO. Like you see like these like big giant dudes walking around in the city, and then you go out into the forest and you see these weird kind of kooky kind of monsters and stuff. And the monsters are just starting to become as powerful, and as you see them powering up, they slowly become more like that other style that you would see more in the city too. And I think that like that progression where you can see the animation style almost kind of change throughout, because I've noticed that like the one king looks a lot different and kind of out of place compared to all the party members that you've seen throughout the show.
Yeah, he looks very, very imposing, whereas Rimuru, who is by any measure, he's a king. I guess they don't call him that, but that's kind of what he is. He's, you wouldn't be intimidated if you just saw him walking around. Lawrence, you're the animation guy. What did you think about the animation?
Yeah, I was I
Oh
on
God.
my phone. I'm very dumb and clumsy. I thought the animation, for what little I saw of it, because I watched like the first 5, but it was a while ago. I thought it was really nice. I thought there was a lot of really cool fluid elements to it, and I didn't expect it to be um, as well animated as it was. Uh, I thought some of the character designs could have used a bit better, been a little different or whatever, as far as maybe the goblins. But I think the animation was cool. I think yeah, it's I don't remember anything too stand out though. The animation was very nice, but I didn't remember any moment that caught me like off guard. I was like amazed, but yeah,
There was one moment that stood out to me for all the wrong reasons, and that was the battle between the orcs and the lizardmen. And that's because they used really, really bad CGI models. And keep in mind that this is the same season that SSSS Gridman came from, and yet, the CGI between that show and this show is night and day. Like, it looked the orcs and the lizardmen battling it out looked like a puppet show, and it just wasn't selling it for me. It just looked bad.
Did it look like?
I think
I mean, it kind of reminded me of like a PlayStation 2 cutscene. Did you get that vibe?
Yeah, that. But like even PlayStation 2 cutscenes, the characters would still the characters would still kind of feel weighty, and and their movements would at least be fluid to some respect. It looked like these guys were on strings.
it's kind of funny that we got 3 different CGI like levels this season. We got this one at the lowest level. We had Goblin Slayer at like a mid level, and then we had SSS Gridman at the highest level. So it's we can kind of tell either maybe budget, like the budget differences now, or like we can just tell like maybe animes that they care a little bit less about animating super well. Because they care more about like the funny storyline compared to like this is an epic battle.
I will say the one thing that I did notice about Slime is that there's a trend where they're making the lines in anime thinner. The lines around the characters and just that make up all the characters, they're getting thinner. It's weird, but it's happening.
They're going for that semi-realism, and I'm saying that jokingly because it's a cartoon. You're not going to have that. So
Yeah, but it's just a straight.
All right.
I think it's because it's digitally drawn, right, Lawrence? Because all this new stuff.
Yeah,
is digitally
it's an effect that not all of it's mostly Japanese anime are still hand drawn, but I'm assuming it's an effect they're putting on the drawings after they're done because to get them even thinner than what they already were would probably require them to be on much larger paper.
All right.
It's a slow progress. I think that like you see animation styles change throughout the years as technology grows. So you are going to see thinner lines the better the drawing technology comes out, and the more accustomed these artists get to it.
And then we have the evolution of software, like in the case of Photoshop and SidePaint.
Yeah, and then also the animation budgets are going to be able to handle the smaller. Yeah, like we're getting slowly better through our animation. So I mean, it's a cool progression to watch, definitely over the years.
Yeah. All right. I guess since this podcast has to be a little bit short, let's move right into the music and sound design. Mike, you're the sound person.
Um,
You're up.
honestly, I've been enjoying it, but nothing really stands out too much for me when it comes to the sound design. I mean, it fits. It's well placed. I haven't seen anything that's just glaringly terrible when it comes to the sound design. Opening, closing track, not bad.
All right.
I actually
Honestly, there's not much I have to say about the music. I mean, it's good. Effect usage, I think, is pretty spot on as well.
Yeah, I can sense that the first intro has this really big progression. It starts out slow, but then it accelerates like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Say it slightly, and this is something that would be fitting on a Burnout EMB. You guys remember that game Burnout?
Oh,
All right.
kind of. I was just gonna add. So, what I liked about the soundtrack is it wasn't like lazy, but because I've seen fantasy shows and animes and movies where they have this really generic, like it's offensively generic, like as in they didn't put any effort into it. This is actually alright. It's not special by any means, but it's
Yeah.
for what it's doing, it's cool. It's all right.
There is one track in particular that seems to play like whenever they're relieving tension, usually near the end of the episodes, but sometimes in the beginning. And it's almost like a victory fanfare, but not quite. That track is the one that stands out in particular. There's I think I remember hearing some dubstep in there at some point, which
Oh,
Yes,
that's
they
the one-
used
that's
a
the
little
one
bit.
Pardon me, but you mean the one that appears when he's fighting the orc demon and Claribus, the giant?
I think it
I know.
I
it was
think
giant,
I think it happens when he's fighting Izuwa Shizue.
oh,
Yeah. When
yeah.
he's riding Ranga and dodging.
Mhm.
That's the image I specifically have attached to that music.
Why the hell did they even put dubstep in this?
It's probably just because it's a contemporary style. Anime has always used contemporary music styles in the works. So
There is
There-
one oh sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I didn't have anything to say.
I was going to say there's one particular track that I for me it stands out the most. And I can't remember the exact scene, but when it's revealing Shizue's background and how she got there.
Oh,
During that scene, the track that's playing during that scene has like this kind of Baroque approach to it or something. I don't know. That was a really well done track.
Oh, you mean when she travels from Showa era Japan to Rimuro's world?
Yeah, more or less. When it was revealing her backstory from a child, like this track that plays during that is really on point.
Yeah.
And then
I-
when he shows her what Tokyo looks like right now.
Yeah, and then there was that scene where it zooms in and it zooms into his computer and shows the naked elf girl, and he's like, "No, that's not what it looks like."
Ignore that one. Don't look at that. Look at this.
And I guess this is a good chance to transition into since this is a comedy anime. How funny would you guys say it is?
Honestly, I love it. I love the way they utilize the humor, and it has again the RPG references and things like that. I love when they do it justice and actually use it effectively as a part of a trope or comedy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back to like if the humor. So one of the things I like about humor is if it serves a dual purpose, like if it actually like not only makes you laugh but has a purpose within the scene. and advances the plot in some kind of way.
Hmm.
But I don't remember anything specific.
Let's see. Regarding the humor, whenever the girls go crazy about Rimuru's slime form, and what else? What else? Oh yeah, when he always doubts people like Gupta, Gupta's a goofy motherfucker, but he's also pretty capable, as
Yeah.
he has shown us.
Gobta is slowly becoming my favorite character.
Who?
Oh yeah, Gupta,
Gupta?
Gupta.
Yeah, Gobta.
Yeah, the goofy looking goblin.
Yeah.
The only one that didn't change after getting a name.
Oh yeah, and you guys saw that scene when he goes to sleep in the prison cell.
Oh,
He stays
yeah.
there for like a fucking week. God damn. River-
I
He was
love
hanging.
that they legitimately just like, you know what, just forget him.
Yeah, they
And that
didn't-
even
they
became a
didn't
plot
even-
element.
They didn't even take him out of the fucking like prison cell when they all got banished from the Dwarven city. They just left without him.
Oh, and
I love
And you-
I love that Rimuru was like trolling him while he was sleeping, or just pranking him. That was pretty
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess that does advance the plot a bit because that's how Gabata learns how to use learns how to summon his wolf from his shadow.
And then they all start kind of learning how to do that as a village. Like they definitely use comedy to advance those kind of plot points, but it also is it makes it again, this is more of like a relax kind of enjoy yourself kind of anime, not like a super serious with some comedy elements in it.
mhm.
So it definitely takes on more of that point. I almost want to say it's like it's one of the better ones that I've seen that takes on this approach. Like that is it okay to pick up girls in the dungeon? Animes like that. Like this seems to be a better version of many
Yeah.
of those.
I
Where
might be the- I might be the
it
one who
balances
hated that.
comedy well with it.
Pardon me, but am I the only one who probably disliked that freaking anime? It's okay to pick up Dungeon Ghost. I watched the first episode, didn't actually enjoy it.
It gets
Well-
better.
Yeah, we're talking about slime anyway.
Yeah.
So
I was just comparing it to the others, like, Real Life and all
Yeah,
of those.
this-
This one
oh,
seemed like a better one compared to many of those other ones.
I'm gonna have to
Oh.
relay. I agree with Josh on this because this feels like they actually. It's not just being an RPG anime. It has heart to it, which is good.
The comedy even leads to character development.
Yeah.
Even something that's supposed to feel like a one-off joke has implication.
yeah,
Right up.
it's not like Konosuba where it's there specifically to make you laugh. It's just comedy is part of what it's doing.
I think it helps with the personality of the characters too, because you get like the people that are very defensive and are fighting over him, and then those skills are like bending into like how strong they actually are. If he's freaking out and it's like, oh crap, this person could actually cause damage to me, and like there was that moment where one of the characters eats someone's food.
I was
And gets
about to
poisoned,
reference
and then,
that too.
Yeah, and then gets poison resist, and then like I'm sitting in my head going, that character is probably going to get poisoned later on, or have to go through like something else, and that might not have happened yet. Or I
That
haven't
was
seen it yet.
Gobita.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection. I didn't even realize he got poison resist from eating that terrible food.
Yeah,
That was such a great development.
yeah, and it's basically it's like you can see these like slow progressions, and then it's like, well, that character now has this ability because of this really stupid thing that happened, but that ability is definitely going to come in hand later on, and you know that that's going to be referenced back in because almost every single one of those abilities has
I
been
can
written and
definitely-
hasn't just been a joke.
I can definitely say that Xian is not a good cook, but she has, well, I'm gonna have to reference this later, but you know those two fun bears she has? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else? What else?
I don't know if the sub version made the joke about it, but the entire time he was like, "Oh, please don't be this trope. Oh, please don't be this. Are you kidding me? She's the trope. She can't cook." So like they did make fun of like the tropes within the show as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the humor in this show was very slapstick, but it was also very based in the characters. It was pretty well done. With that out of the way, let's move on to the characters.
Indeed.
Oh man, you know I was gonna mention that. I was gonna mention that fact regarding one of the elf brothers, one of the dwarf brothers who can't speak, and the Rimuru gets on his case because he can't speak.
Oh, that running gag.
Mm.
Say something. Say it.
Come on, dude. But yeah, let's move on straight to the characters and who is legitimately best girl in this anime.
We're doing best girl, seriously.
Best girl hasn't shown up yet. Not
Best girl hasn't shown up to where we can talk about her yet.
yeah.
I seriously, I got to that episode. We aren't talking about that one, and I just made my girlfriend watch that episode alone. And I'm like, now you have to watch the entire thing just to get to her again. And she's like, I love her. I want to cosplay her best girl. So yeah, but
Does she have anything that small?
she has chest binders.
Uh,
She cosplays a lot of guys, so it'll work. Anyway,
Okay, let's get to Rimuru first and foremost. Rimuru. As
Rimuru.
Is it
Rimuru's
Rimuru.
it's Rimuru.
yeah.
Uh, Okay, let's just agree to not pronounce it the same way.
Every single time, a little different.
Yeah. So, Rimuru is, well, he's obviously the slime, the titular slime. And he is one of the most overpowered characters ever that I've ever seen in any anime. And I've seen Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, this dude is incredibly flexible when it comes to battle. He can literally adapt to anything, and I do mean everything.
Yeah. He has that predator ability, and it allows him to consume other monsters and absorb their abilities. And on top of that, he just has a ridiculously high amount of magicals.
Well, I was gonna say, Predator is even more overpowered because he can do that to anything, even inanimate objects. He can predate them.
Yeah. And then he can copy things. He can
Refine metals.
yeah, he can do practically anything you could possibly imagine.
He
And
has
it
a
almost-
conscience, and the body that he has can do anything. It's just that regular slimes don't have human minds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm scrolling through all of his abilities, and this is ridiculous.
Yeah. It does beg the question of what is the actual use of the other characters in the fights, because it seems like they move in, almost every fight is the rest of the characters move in, they kind of get their ass kicked, and then Rimuru comes in, and then he wins, and that's almost every battle.
Is he Goku?
Well, I mean,
Kind
we
of.
saw the other characters fight in the giant battle and do a lot of damage.
They did, but
really
I keep going.
Yeah, I think it's less that, like, you have to consider that he could just fly in there and just do all of that damage, but it's how much power does he have? How much, like, could he wipe out that entire army and then still be able to fight at the same level?
There
How
was
much can he do? And then there's also, like, the issue of, like, he does depend on other people to make sure that other people are protected. He can't be in 1,000 places at once.
Yeah, though there are writing problems that do occur because of how powerful he is. One of them, it really feels like they wrote themselves into a corner in the fight between Rimuru and the Orc Lord, because as it stands, at the beginning of the battle, at this point the audience is not going to believe at all that Rimuru's in any danger when he faces the Orc Lord. So what ends up happening is the Orc Lord, he has this ability to eat other creatures, kind of like Predator, and gain their power. And he watches. What ends up happening is Rimuru just stands there and watches the Orc Lord consume another very powerful Magin, and he doesn't like try to stop him or anything like that, even though he would be perfectly capable of preventing him from taking probably a minute and a half to eat a person.
It does seem like Rimuru like, isn't always fully aware of himself, and definitely will get in, like, situations where he doesn't know how to react. Like, he's watching someone get eaten and he doesn't,
But like,
like, he
at
just
this
doesn't
point,
react well to it.
at
Yeah.
this point though, he already knows that the Orc Lord will gain this guy's power, and this guy is immensely powerful. He already knows that he'll gain his power and be more difficult to fight after that.
Yeah.
So it does beg the question: why not prevent the Orc Lord from eating it?
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of that in anime, just in general. I have the out of just saying that's just kind of what you get a lot of the time, but I definitely fully understand where that's coming from.
Yeah. All right. What about the supporting cast? What do you guys think of these people?
I like the wolf. The wolf, like, able to
Ranga?
yeah, he was able to give him some explanation. But it was an explanation for Rimuru because, you know, this genre requires exposition. Its exposition isn't an annoying nuisance. It's kind of a thing that's to be expected because it's an alien world to us just as much as it is to the main character. So
Yeah.
the wolf was kind of cool. Like, he was kind of like a neat badass character that explained a couple things without it being like, you know, annoying, obvious, or just, he wasn't like, we're not dealing with Shadow the Hedgehog. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like generic badass or annoying exposition. It was a nice balance. I'm noticing that about this show a lot. There's a nice balance. Like, the music isn't generic crap. At the same time, it's not amazing, but it gets the job done. It's nice.
Honestly, a lot of characters I actually enjoy seeing them, especially the Goblin Brothers, who are masters at their craft. Especially, what was the guy's name? I forgot the guy who does the weapons.
Looking Mal Kaijin.
Kaijin, that man. I've seen the guy's weapons quality. That is straight up quality. Those are a masterpiece. And then when Rimuru actually gives him the stones,
The Magisteel.
Yeah, the Majesty. Sorry. But yeah, regarding the some of the characters, Gut is likable and relatable. He's also got the trope of hidden, crouching. How should I say this? Crouching dumbass, hidden badass. Like you would see this goofy looking dude, and you wouldn't believe that he would destroy the lizard man like that. I know. Spoiler.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't spoil too much, but you're making a good point. I mean, Mike, Lawrence, you guys want to touch base on that?
I really agree with that statement. Crouching dumbass, hidden badass. That's a really good way to phrase it.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got too.
Spark.
And then there's the female characters, especially Shion, Ellen, and Shisui. Besides Milim.
No, we're not supposed to mention
I
Milim,
know.
even though we really want to.
Yeah,
Okay, so real quick.
we're gonna have to have a touch up
Lawrence,
anime.
I think I heard Lawrence talking, but his microphone broke.
Alright.
No, he's just dying.
Cue the sad music. Okay, so
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's the secretary? I cannot remember her name. Like I'm horrible with names. Shion. I absolutely love her interactions with the different female characters where she's just fighting over him.
Mm-hmm.
I like how every time there's an important decision, Shion just jumps in and makes it before Rimuru does.
Yeah, she's just like, everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna take care of this. Nothing bad's gonna happen. And he's like, what? I don't want to work.
Dude, what are you getting into?
Yeah, just
I'll be honest with you. She has one hell of an asset, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, look at the rack on
definitely
that one.
bath- yeah, definitely that bath scene wherever she starts splashing things later in. I mean, what?
So, out of the female characters, the female cast, the one with the fire demon bound to her.
That is.
She's with.
Yep, she's away.
Do you guys think that? I mean, I remember. I know that she and Rimuru get close and whatnot. Do you guys think that at some point, from what you've seen so far and what you know about the show, is she, aside from being a quote-unquote key to the story going forward, do you think we're going to get anything from her period of Japan happening at all? Like, even a bit?
I'm trying to like figure out if she's actually going to appear in the show again, because I'm not sure.
I think it might be like a passing moment where he'll think of her or she'll communicate to him from whatever, depending on the circumstances that arise.
There was
I
another
highly doubt
moment
it.
in this where the one of the magas in the forest during the giant war was unaware of some of the other powers that were in this world. So I think we're gonna see more people like her.
Awesome.
Oh, you mean the Dryads?
Yeah. I can't remember which character it was, but there was like one. It was one of the ones with the masks in the forest, and he was completely unaware of like some type of magic and like how like the magic worked. And it might have been the druid part. Like he was like, "Oh, what the fuck is a druid?" It was something like that, and I know that was a key moment where I'm like, I think all of the powerful creatures in this are actually from Japan.
Yeah. Dang. Oh, speaking of Dryad, when Trainee appeared in the first Disturbance arc, and she goes around talking to the guys, and then she snaps a potato chip. It's one of those small details.
Oh yeah, they have potato chips. That's how far the city has come along. Is they've produced potato chips. Such a such a non-essential luxury.
Yeah. Later in, they talk about it's like he's like sitting there. He's like, I wonder if we can make coffee soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like they're definitely like quickly upgrading and flying through. Like it almost seems like a Civilization game where it's just like
Yeah,
you're watching it like progress super fast. And you see some of the old technology like with the new technology, and it's just like slowly catching up.
yeah. I that is my favorite part of the show. To be honest, is the building
Watching
of a
the town
nation.
grow.
Yeah, it's you start off and it's just like a couple like huts or tents or something, and the
build for
village
shit.
and the village and the little camp is literally about to be wiped off the map. And Rimuru shows up, and over the course of the show, he turns that little camp into a nation, and that little camp is like this big, sprawling capital city. And it's and that's very cool to watch. It's very cool to watch him go around playing politics and making connections with other people, and getting resources for a city, getting important people to come live there, and use their skills to help the development of the nation, making allies and all that good stuff, and actually watching it pay off as well. It is very enjoyable, and that I think is the greatest strength of this show, is just watching this. Like all the comedies is pretty good. All the the music's all right, animation's okay, plot's okay, but the just watching this nation form out of nothing, for some reason, that's very cathartic.
Yeah, completely. It kind of gives you a perspective. It's not like it in a way it's similar to, I don't want to compare to another show, Overlord, but it's not just one character. It's not so much as one character going around conquering the world. It's one person influencing the world. Like the drop of the bucket becoming like a stream. Like he's generating enough influence in the world that he's changing the world, but the world is moving forward. So he kind of, you see the impact of the main character on that world, like Goblin Village aside.
All right. So I guess in talking about the characters, we've really covered the plot for the most part. So I guess we're actually running out of time now, because we had to make this very short, scheduling issues and all that. So I guess it's time to give your final thoughts, and do we want to rate this, because this hasn't fully,
I think
this hasn't completed.
We shouldn't rate it. We should give a good. What's your impression? Like, do you like it or not?
Yeah. All right, let's go left to right in the Discord call. Skylar or Striker.
Oh, honestly, I thought I was gonna hate it because I thought it was gonna be another one of those generic ass isekai animes, like Goblin Slayer. I mean, I love Goblin Slayer, but you can't help but think, but that's more or less my opinion. But honestly, I'm enjoying it. I'm actually enjoying it so far. This anime is just right. The comedy is spot on. The Rimuru's development as the most overpowered being in the story arc. The what else? What else? Oh man, the plot is decent. The music, however, the ending and theme songs are actually pretty great. Honestly, I can't wait for the next episodes. This is one anime I'm watching this season.
Getsuru?
I am extremely enjoying this. This is the style of anime I usually love to watch. I've always been a huge fan of like anything that just felt like a video game more than an anime and just has like all those plot points. And this is definitely doing the best job out of any of them. I'm looking forward to the forward progression. We kind of alluded to it, but like the next step of the show seems to be uh, people that can actually challenge Rimuru. And it's going to be much more interesting to see characters that are on his level and that he actually has to respect and fear. And we're slowly seeing him take charge and grow as a character. This has been one of the more fascinating animes, to say the least, especially coming out of a comedy. Like, you definitely weren't expecting this style of anime coming straight out of a comedy. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm highly recommending it to anyone that loves anything about video games too.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
All right, Lawrence.
When your mentor asks you to clear off his hard drive and it's his dying wish, you follow through. And that man followed. And
Mad Lad. I gotta interrupt you. Then that was one of my favorite parts of that anime. The absolute Mad Lad dumps the fucking computer into the bathtub.
That's very
That was a
very
great
specific
gag.
thing. Like I
My
have now
friend-
referred to like dumping my computer, like if like FBIing my computer as magnet bathing my computer from now on.
Yes.
It's
Find those in your life.
I don't want to know. At one point, I want to crack jokes, but I don't want to know what's on his computer. But Lawrence, go ahead.
It's furry.
Just find friends who will do that for you. And that aside, no, this anime is funny. This anime is really funny. I didn't know what to expect. It's got the long light novel name, of course. So I'm like, all right. And but this moment he's sitting there chilling, hanging out with the dragon. The dragon's totally like, yeah, dude, I want friends. How's it going? And then he just becomes this unstoppable force just by eating a bunch of food, just befriending a dragon. It was insane. It's kooky. It's something you're only gonna find in anime and from Japan. So I think it'll be a show people will look back fondly on. You know.
Oh god, Slither Dragon.
All right.
That's
Mike?
Until it has a Gynax
What?
ending. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Hope not.
Mike.
I am thoroughly impressed with this series, and I want fucking more. The comedy is spot on. I was really thinking it was just going to be corny and like one-off jokes, but they're incorporating their comedy into the plot, and that just sealed it for me. That sealed the fucking deal. I don't know. It's just a really good series that I wasn't expecting, and now I'm kind of hungry for more.
All right. RJ.
I going back first off again. I don't want to know what's on Remiru's computer, but with the level of detail, it makes you curious. But I loved it. It started off with that, ridiculous down to earth comedy of, bro, destroy my computer, and then now we're in, like as Josh put it, like it's kind of like a video game. Like we're in the video game world, and you get to see, like I mentioned, the impact the character's doing, and how the world is going forward itself. And I love that it's executed great. Like it does the job right. I like it. I look forward to watching the rest of it as well.
All right. And then my thoughts. All right. This show it's very funny. It it has some amusing characters. There is some plot elements that I'm not too fond of, like you never feel like Rimuru is actually ever in any danger. And there were tiny little plot holes here and there. I'd say this show is good and it's fun to watch. It's not amazing, but it's all in all, it's pretty good. I wouldn't call it a must watch, like all-time classic, but you're not gonna watch it and be like, man, I just wasted my time. You're gonna watch it and be like, that was pretty fun. So I think if you want a good comedy isekai, watch That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime or Konosuba. And yeah, I guess that's it. Everyone say goodbye
For now.
All right.
for now.
Yeah,
Outpost crew
thanks.
signing off.
Thank you for watching.
Sayonara.
Up.
See ya.
All right, later,
Take
guys.
it easy, y'all.